Good morning, dear students. In previous lecture, we were discuss about the respiratory system in man with the help of diagram. Now here we are going to discuss about the explanation of the organs that constitute the part of human respiratory system. If we are talking about the human respiratory system, then the main function of the human respiratory system is the process of breathing, which I told you in the previous lecture. The human respiratory system is mainly consist of two main parts. What are two main parts? First, the respiratory tract, and second, the lungs. Students, what is the respiratory tract and how many organs constitute to form this respiratory tract, and what is the lungs and how lungs perform its function? What are the anatomical structure of a human lungs? We will more discuss about these both topics in today's lecture. First of all, I take the respiratory tract. What is respiratory tract? Then students, you will find the answer of this question. Today's question. Respiratory tract is a tract of respiratory system which opens, or you can say that which begins with the nostril and ends with the bronchioles, or you can say that alveolar sacs, which are found in the deep inside the human lungs. Now let us take the part of the respiratory tract. Then first of all, the nostril and nasopharynx, the nasal chamber, nostril and the nasal chamber. It is also known as nasal cavity. The second is nasopharynx. Next is larynx, the voice box. After the larynx, the trachea. And there are the further subdivision of trachea. That are, what are that? That are bronchi. It is the plural form of bronchus, bronchioles, and the bronchioles further ends into the kind of air bubbles, or you can say that air sacs like structure, that are the basic, you can say that basic unit of our pulmons. It means lungs, that are alveoli or alveolar sacs. Now first of all, we take about the nostril. What is nostril? A pair of oval shaped aperture present the inverted direction of our nose just above our upper lip. This pair of oval shaped aperture is known as nostril. It helps in intake of air and passages to the nasal chamber. Nasal chamber, it is a chamber where the air first reached and the wall of the nasal chamber contains many olfactory cells of epithelium type as well as mucus secreting goblet cells. The upper surface of the nasal chamber containing epithelial olfactory epithelial cells are densely covered by the hairs that helps in inhalation, that helps in prevents the dust particles to enter into the respiratory tract during the inhalation process. Thus, students, the presence of olfactory epithelium in the nasal chamber is the provide the sense of smell. What kind of smell present in the air are gases that is identified by the presence of olfactory epithelial cells. Now students, the next organ is nasopharynx, that is a part of pharynx. As I was explaining to the process of digestion, the pharynx is subdivided into two parts. One is oropharynx that continue into the esophagus, it means food pipe, and another is nasopharynx that continue into the trachea. Then students, that is nasopharynx. Then the nasopharynx opens into the trachea. It is very wide part of the respiratory tract. Inside the nasopharynx, its lining is made up of mucus secreting goblet cells that secretes mucus. It maintain, or you can say that it accommodate the temperature of the air that inhale to passage before the respiratory tract, so that no harm can be caused by any dry, or you can say that any more heat air inside the trachea. Now it has also the chamber of olfaction, because if any kind of air enters into the nasopharynx, it gets dissolved into the mucus that is secreted by the lining cells, and that has ability to recognize the kind of smell that sends the information to our the brain, and we can easily recognize the smell of such kind of air. The nasopharynx has a leaf-like structure that is called glottis. Glottis have epiglottis. The epiglottis, that is called epiglottis. The epiglottis helps in opening and closing of the nasopharynx, and further below the epiglottis, just above the larynx, a bilobed leaf-like structure is present that is called glottis. Glottis helps in opening and closing of the trachea during the inhalation and exhalation of the air. If we are talking about the epiglottis and glottis, that can be exemplified just the bird which is sitting on the silencer of a tractor. Students, if you examine the bird sitting on the silencer of a tractor, and when the tractor starts, this type of a bird is placed on the silencer, which is continuously functioning just like this, just like the epiglottis and glottis that lies just upon the larynx and continuously vibrate, or you can say that perform the open and close movement when inhalation and exhalation. When inhale the air, it gets open upward, and when exhale the air, it open forward direction. Now the next one is larynx. Larynx is also known as voice box because it provides the ability of speech. Voice box, ability of speech. Larynx is about 4.4 centimeter in length. It is a H-shaped, or you can say that apple-shaped structure that lies on the anterior part of our neck. This is the larynx. That is the voice box. And at first, the Adams was the biologist who identified this structure. That's why being discovered by the Adams and just look like a apple. That's why it is also known as Adam's apple. The voice box or larynx is also known as Adam's apple. Now students, we are talking about the trachea. Trachea is easily known as windpipe. What? Windpipe. This is about 10 to 12 centimeter long, highly muscular and flexible structure that has many C-shaped cartilaginous rings that provides them the ability of flexibility and the contraction and relaxation during the inhalation and exhalation of air. This C-shaped cartilaginous rings is continuously bind the windpipe. Windpipe is somewhat flat, or you can say that wide, and from anterior to posterior end it is aligned. The end part of the windpipe, the upper part of the windpipe contains larynx. This kind of structure, which I was mentioned in the diagram. This is the larynx, also covered by 4 cartilaginous muscles, thick muscles. This is the larynx, or you can say that voice box. And the anterior part of the trachea is primarily branched into 2 parts. That is bronchi. Bronchi is the term, plural term used for bronchus. Its singular is bronchus. Bronchus is the singular of the bronchi, and it continues into the lungs, which further branch into the bronchioles. Bronchioles are the further branch as primary, secondary and tertiary branches that at end opens into the alveolar sac. Now students, here let's come on the topic lungs. What are lungs? Lungs are a pair of sac-like structures. Students, lungs are also known as pulmons. Why so called pulmons? Because it is a just sac of air, and the basic structural unit of lungs is alveoli. There are about 75 crores of alveoli found in the both lungs of an adult human. Now students, lungs is a double membranous structure which is covered by the membrane that is called pleura. The outer pleural and the inner pleural. In between the inner and outer pleural, a cavity is present that is called pleural cavity. The cavity is not spacious. This cavity is filled by a special kind of fluid that is called pleural fluid. Now look at here, the pleural membrane, in which this is the double elastic membrane in which our lungs is enclosed, and in between the inner and outer pleura the cavity is present, that is called pleural cavity. And this cavity is not empty, this cavity is filled by a special kind of fluid, that is called pleural fluid. That is called pleural fluid. What is the function of pleural fluid? The pleural fluid serves following important function. Let us discuss. It acts as a lubricant that has ability to eradicate any kind of shock, or you can say that mechanical injuries to our lungs. Next, it always keeps our lungs soft and moist. This is the peculiar feature of the pleural fluid. Now students, if we are talking about the lungs, then I was explained that the right lungs, a pair of lungs present in our thoracic region, that right lung and the left lung. The right lung is somewhat larger than the left lungs. What is the reason behind this? I will also tell you that because about 2/3 part of our heart lies just near to the left lung. That why the size of the left lung become somewhat shorter than the right lungs. The right lungs is further divided into 3 lobes: the superior lobe, middle lobe, and the lower lobe. The partition of these lobes is determined by the presence of fissures. 2 types of fissures. Fissures are the just nothing. It is the somewhat fibrous structure that contains muscles, striated muscles. These are of 2 types: the oblique fissure, which gives the angular division to the part of lungs, and another is that is oblique fissure, and another is horizontal fissure. That is the horizontal fissure that anteriorly divides the part of the lungs lobe. Now students, the left lung is just divided into 2 parts, the upper and lower, and the anterior part of the lungs is very spacious, that can intake about 2.2 liter of the air at a time. That is called the total lungs capacity, or TLC, total lungs capacity of the lungs. The total lungs capacity of an adult person is about 2.2 liter, or you can say that 2200 ml. Yes students, it is measured into the milliliter due to the atmospheric pressure concept. Thus finally you can say that the lungs is the main part of the human respiratory system that helps in exchange of air between atmosphere and our blood. The alveolus, 75 crores alveolus, is just like the air sacs that intake the oxygenated air from the lungs, and and that oxygen is combined with the hemoglobin protein of the blood, and at that time the carbon dioxide present inside the carbohemoglobin is taken out to the lungs. Thus, the process of gaseous exchange take place inside our lungs. Thanks, students, for joining today's lecture.